Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Ecoffee with Experts. I'm your host, Matt Fraser. And on today's show, I have with me a very special guest, David Cuff. David is the co-founder of LocalView, a full-service digital marketing and web development agency headquartered in Linwood, Washington. He's developed a national website to enable business professionals the ability to manage their entire online reputation and social media marketing, in one place, thus allowing them to engage clients and sales leads with a powerful, easy-to-use tools. Linking business to powerful reputation management and social media marketing tools, he's the author of several blog posts pertaining to digital marketing, which can be found on his company website and LinkedIn profile. He's also an avid volunteer, from substitute teacher to construction work. His motto is, "A cheerful heart is good medicine." David, thanks for coming on the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate it, Matt.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. So, we're talking about, an idea for today to talk about is tips and tools for running a virtual digital agency that clients actually love. And on that note, what inspired you to start your own digital marketing agency? Like, how did you get started?
About 8 years ago, I started with web development and working with small business owners. But obviously, anybody who's been in this business any length of time realized that a website's just an online business card, and developing leads and expanding your business really needs more. So I started getting into SEO and started learning SEO with a real passion and the nuts and bolts of the details of pay-per-click marketing. Got myself certified with Google, and continued on with social media. Pulled on some products as an agency and started to develop really just the full service concierge kind of approach. I realized I wasn't going to be able to compete with the national companies, but what I wanted to do is develop a company that the local business could come to, find an affordable price, and have all of the high-end tools, high-end services, and more importantly, that customer experience really that is the glue to keep your agency, maintaining long-term clients and reducing what others in the industry call churn. I didn't want to have a bunch of clients, make a bunch of money real quick and then not fulfill what I promised. And so I began to quickly learn the details from soup to nuts on digital marketing, and began to teach others that, and developed a team to do that. And that's pretty much, I get inspired by helping business owners increase their business rather than, if I could just, develop this cool website, or, if I could just increase, their analytics. To me, it's all part of meeting that individual, sitting either on a virtual screen or across the table, and providing real solutions. And for them, happy that they met me or met someone else on the team.
Yeah, that's awesome. What are some of the biggest challenges you faced in running your agency?
Well, as you know, web development alone is not just the skills to put together a website. It's actually a project, and taking, somebody else's story and putting it together in a compelling manner. I once did, this is about 6 years ago, I did an email count of just one client going back and forth and creating their website. We were hired also to create the content on that particular website, but nonetheless, it was over 150 emails back and forth until we actually launched the website. And so, just when you begin to contemplate that type of activity with a concierge approach, to putting together just a website, you begin to realize the challenges is getting information from busy business owners. And so what I worked real hard on is developing systems on our end to make it easy for someone else. I mean, when you talk to a plumber and they're running trucks every morning, they get up at 4:45 and they go through their list of jobs that they have to do. And then I call them and say, hey, do you have more information on that About Us page? And it's like, they would much rather hire me, but quite often they can't afford it to have us write, 15 to 20 pages and do the website and all the details and artwork and everything. And so we find ourselves in this kind of budget restrained / project management. So we use Basecamp. We put everything in Basecamp, which is one of the tools that we use. It's a project management software. And so what it does is it helps us to follow up. And, if someone's busy for a season and they're going to get back to us, then we know exactly where we were. Everything's organized. It's not like we have to do a research project every time we get an email. So I think the biggest challenge for us is, working with busy local, owners or managers and trying to help them, put together, if you will, their online profile without interrupting their lives severely.
Yeah. So is your entire agency virtual, or do you have office in-house staff?
We don't have offices. I have a dedicated office here in my home, and team, they all have dedicated spaces, if you will. But no, we don't have a physical office. From the beginning, it's funny, pre-COVID, people would say, you don't have an office. I don't get it, But after COVID, everybody's like, oh, it's just normal. Everybody works from home, and it saves the client obviously lots of money. But we've gotten real good at putting together the tools and the process to run from home. And so I'd like to think we're actually more productive than having an office, and more streamlined and more efficient financially.
Yeah, well, tell me about that. Like, what I'm pretty sure that a lot of our audience listening and watching are agency owners. So, what are some of the tips you could share with? I mean, obviously, you founded this from the beginning as a quote unquote virtual agency, but I agree with you. I've been working from home for a long time, and I prefer it. And I don't see the need to have an office to impress people, but there are certain challenges that come with running a virtual agency, so to speak, where you don't have physical offices, you don't have in-person meetings. So can you tell me about some of those things?
Well, I think one of the biggest challenges is personally me as the business owner, and that is, is everybody being productive, and you have this fear, wondering if someone's sitting at home, just doing something other than, working. But in reality, you need to take a different approach. We do have an online time clock that goes in with our project management software. So we use EverHour, and it integrates with Basecamp. And the reason why we do that, obviously, client billable. It's like if we're working on a project, we want to know how much time it's taking us, and we clock in and we manage the time as it relates to projects and such. But really, the biggest challenge is, empowering your folks that work with you in such a way that they're excited to work. They have meaningful, work to do, so that, they don't want to sit around. It's who wants to waste time? And so I don't need to walk down halls and look into offices and see that everybody's busy. I just need to see really what we've created and the solutions that we've provided and the hard work that goes into some of the work that we do. And if someone gets up and gets a drink of water, or someone, uses the restroom and forgets to clock out or something, big deal. It's like, we run our company in such a way that trust is a big thing among the team members, and obviously with me. And I like to incentivize certain things, hey, if you get this job done by, the end of the week, because the client's really pushing, hey, here's some extra money if we knock this out before Friday. And,
right on.
Like that well, and, and just, trying to have an exciting place to work every day. I think that's really the key, rather than, is everybody working hard? If you hire somebody who's just going to get over on you, it's only going to last for so long, and they're not going to fit, because unless you have 45 to 55 to 150 people working for you, then you have to have really good managers who also provide that exciting place to work. every day so that you don't have to worry about people wanting to take advantage from working from home.
Yeah. So how do you Yeah. Oh, absolutely. How did you develop the culture then of that exciting culture? What are some tips on that?
Well, we do meet together every day for like 15, 20 minutes. We call it our project meeting, and we get together and we talk about what we're doing. I love to have a face-to-face, virtual meeting with everybody, and we go over different things. I also provide, opportunities for training, certifications. We do bonuses for that. And really, I was at, I read a while back ago, the most important thing for people is not money at their jobs, although money is up there. Yeah. It's important, but having meaningful work. So what I like to do is, because we're a small company, we're only 8 years old, is I like to really give people the opportunity to form who we are and to know our culture and to know what we're all about, and as a result begin to put together solutions as they see opportunity to develop how we do our business. And because the industry is changing so rapidly and so many things are happening, and so many opportunities to launch off into other areas, sometimes we go for it, and sometimes we I listen to an idea or a particular project that we could be doing that's not necessarily client-based. It could be to develop something internal that we're doing, and I let folks go for it. And I think giving people an opportunity to form who we are as a company, and not just me laying down edicts on who we are and what we're doing. Clearly we have a culture of customer experience. Clearly we have a culture of concierge type of service for the small business. That's who we are. And we want to see local businesses do well. I mean, I read some statistic that, 7 out of every $10 purchased online is through Amazon. And I thought, I use Amazon a lot and I don't want to kick, a good thing. But on the other hand, obviously this is choking out small businesses and people who worked hard and put together, businesses over the years are now finding themselves struggling. And so how do we get them found? How do we help them tell their story? How do we streamline their process? And how do we get their margins to where they can offer, those kinds of prices? And, obviously selling products, services are just always there. You're always going to need a plumber. You can't buy a plumber online, and those kind of things. But, how do we get small businesses thriving, and how do we help them develop great reputations within their local communities and have those local communities healthy as a result of having the guy on the corner that you can go and ask, hey, how do you hook these wires together on your TV? And then really having the pricing so that they don't just go over to Amazon now and buy the TV. They buy it from their local guy, because, local is really, I think, in my opinion, one of the pioneer frontiers that have been neglected now that big businesses has really taken over with Costco and Amazon and Walmart and all these places where, granted, the delivery companies, UPS and FedEx and all these companies are growing leaps and bounds. And I'm all for companies growing. Don't misunderstand me. So I'm not sitting on the virtual lawn saying, get off my lawn, as a local business owner. But I do want to help the local businesses. That's really, our heart is to help small businesses grow in a challenging environment.
So you'd mentioned running virtual meetings every day. What tools do you use? What's your preferred meeting platform of choice?
We use Google Workspace, and we use the Meet option. So obviously Google Workspace has, like Zoom, it has its own Google Meet. It also has a collaborative calendar and obviously email. And we have about 2 terabytes of client data in the cloud that we can all share and utilize. We have 2 Unix servers with, all of our local websites on, and then we back those up every night on the server, and then we port those over to our Google Drive, and then it syncs it right down here to our Synology drive all automatically.
You got a NAS drive, eh?
Yeah, so everything well backed up and secured, and it's all automated, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
We like Google Meet. The new upgrade just has a noise canceling, and I raise Bichons also. I have a male and a female, and sometimes they like to get a little rambunctious in the office here and run around and bark and what have you. And once this new upgrade with the noise canceling came out, I apologized to a client when my dogs were getting rowdy, and I don't hear anything. I was like, oh, good.
Oh, wow.
Works pretty well. So Google Workspaces is a great tool. Obviously there's other like-minded or
similar
office suites, similar office suites, but because we're a Google partner, and it just kind of we do local ads as well. And so it just kind of made sense to I like to reduce technology, even though I'm a technology kind of junkie, I love to learn new products. Then you can become so diverse in all your technology that it's really hard, to learn it all for a new person to come in. But the next one we use, obviously, as I've mentioned, Basecamp. Basecamp, we do a cool thing with their templating. So like when we create a website, we have a template with over 56 immediate tasks. And then with those tasks, we have in the template, we have videos on how to do it. So which is another product we use. We use Snagit from TechSmith. And then we also use Loom. And so, what we do is we go through the process of that step when we're working on something, and we record it and we put it in our Google Drive, or we also have a website subdomain for our website, support.localview.link. And in that support subdomain, we have all these videos, all these trainings, and all the details of, how to work for us. And we have the standard operating procedures listed in a nice library. So we don't have to reinvent the wheel every time someone comes on board and do all this heavy training. So, and then, like I said, Basecamp with these templates, for instance, we just sell a website, right? And so obviously we have, 50 some odd tasks that are included, but one of them might be, hey, make sure you add them to the email campaign that explains to them the process. And so every 3 to 5 days, they get an email explaining what we're doing. And so all the details, we don't have to remember all of this. It's all right there. It's not our first rodeo, after close to 200 websites, you begin to figure it out. Systems that make life easy. And so Loom is a big one too. Loom is great because, we were going to do our own videos and put them on our own website. But what we like about Loom is that anybody could watch the video. It doesn't have to log in, or he or she doesn't have to log in to leave you comments. And they can also record a video in response, or just type in the comments there on the Loom video. So what we do is every month we have what's called our quality control, where we, fill out the forms on their website. We look at their analytics. We look at their search console, what, terms are being used, what pages are being frequented, and we give them a video. And then we say, hey, here's what's going on. Hey, Fred, hey, Mary, here's what's happening. Here's how your website's doing. We notice you got these, forms filled out during the month, and how's that going? And so it becomes this touch point that's personal. So Loom is, it's a great product. It's easy to use. And then we also use it to ask each other questions that are a little more than just, hey, what's going on? We'll have a screenshot of hey, I noticed I'm getting this error every time, how to fix this, and we'll just send it off to one of our teammates and that kind of thing. And so then we also have a console that we use for all of our WordPress websites. So that's nice and easy to update them. And anybody can log in. We use iThemes. I've been with iThemes for 8 years. We love the console, and it works well. We use their security software as well, their backup software, and then their synchronization software to manage all these sites. And so what else do we use? We use Zero Accounting, and then we use
I was going to ask you about that for your billing and system. So you use Zero Accounting.
I was on QuickBooks for online for years, and I just found every year that they were raising my price 25% and just overwhelmingly expensive. It's a great product. I really do like it. One of the things I didn't like about QuickBooks Payments is that, for recurring payments, you can't have the client update their own credit card, which is silly because, Intuit allows you to update your credit card for their services, but
purposes.
So the moment somebody's credit card expires or if they change it, now I got to call them. I've got to have them somehow give me their credit card number.
Oh, that's crazy.
And so then I got to go back into QuickBooks. So with Xero, it integrates with Stripe, and now they handle all of that through Stripe. And so
that's awesome.
They can change their credit card, they can change their expiration date, and it's all done on the other end. Now,
what about?
Go ahead.
Sorry, what about, like, for instance, do you integrate that with? I don't even know if it needs to be, but I'm thinking all these things somehow need to talk to one another. For instance, for proposals, do you use any proposal software that integrates with Xero?
We do use a proposal software. It's through our white label software.
Okay.
We use Vendasta.
For
8 years. We were way back in the day before, Vendasta was where they are today.
Yeah,
they have a great proposal. We used to just do proposals, creatively with Canva and our own kind of, verbiage and such. And then we found that Vendasta's new proposal software works well. Vendasta also has a full accounting and billing, which is new within the last year or so. But we found ourselves kind of, if we jump ship from our system over to Vendasta's new, ability to propose and bill and secure clients, that we have to pretty much take our 100 clients and their recurring billing and move them over, and that is one thing I don't want to do.
That's huge.
So essentially we stay with Xero now. Having the first of the year, I converted over from QuickBooks, and then Stripe. What's nice about Stripe is that we haven't raised our price in 3.5 years on any of our services. So our core, maintenance for a website is $45 a month. Hosting, maintenance, security, backups, and a half hour of our time to do whatever it is you need to do. And for $45 a month, that's a steal. It's pretty much
it's a steal.
Yeah, our margin there is like, virtually nothing, but it obviously keeps us connected with clients. And so when we build somebody a website, we want to make sure that, from soup to nuts to launch to 2 years from now, they're happy with what they have. So, and so, taking these recurring clients and keeping our costs low, I was paying a ton in credit card fees, and it was ridiculous. 3%, 2.9%. So what I did is I moved over to Stripe through Xero. Now my client has the option where when they get the bill, they can pay it with a credit card, but they pay the 2.9%.
As it should be.
Or they can go with our ACH product, which is go cardless, and they don't have to pay credit fees, and so then they have to put their bank account and such. They don't get the credit card points, but they also save money. So and I have to tell you, just that alone, we haven't raised our prices this year or for the last 3 years, but it's saved us thousands of dollars of operating expense and credit cards.
Wow. And there's a golden tip.
Out of close to 100 clients, I think we had 2 that complained, and I just expressed to them, our margins are so low right now to work with small businesses that, we haven't raised our price. This is what I have to do. And, they were okay. They're still clients. Those 2 particular folks who weren't happy are still with us, which is great. So
that's awesome.
Xero, Stripe, and Go Cardless is kind of how we function. And, obviously the recurring billing and the automatic, in Xero, it's called repeating invoices. in QuickBooks, it's called recurring. But essentially, if I'm able to just bill them once a month for $45 and, and make it nice and easy, and we have a process by which either they can email us, they can go to Basecamp, or they can fill out a support form when they want anything changed, or they can call us on the phone and just say, hey, I want a new, a hero photo. I want my, my products updated. I want something done on my website or what have you. I want to change my email address, whatever they want to do. And it's nice. And so it's all part of the process. Yeah. So other products we use, obviously we use, the whole Photoshop Creative Suite, do, websites and other creative work that we do with Illustrator and such. And then we also have Camtasia for easy editing and marketing videos. And then we have Adobe Premiere for the high-end stuff and that kind of thing. And so your basic, creative suite and such, what I wanted to do was try to reduce the complexity, but it's difficult because, not every one solution provides a great CRM. As far as the CRM, we use Vendasta right now, and it's, it's got some challenges. It's not like your high end. We used to be on Copper. I think Copper is a phenomenal product, but its project management was lacking, and it was really difficult. You could create wonderful tasks, but when looking at a full project and integrating your clients into that workflow and all of that, Copper just didn't have it. And so we went over to Basecamp, and Basecamp's wonderful. You pay $100 a month and you can have as many people on it as you want. And so we have our team on it. We invite our clients over to it. They can upload, they can do whatever. There's no limitation. It's $100 a month. And so for us, hopefully they don't raise their rates and we're good.
Hey, and backing up a little bit, how did you develop your SOPs? For instance, you mentioned that it's amazing that you've created all this documentation. I mean, after doing 200 websites, but going back to when you first started, what did that process look like and how did it evolve?
Well, it's pretty simple in that you find yourself doing a bunch of core stuff every time you do a website. So guess what? Let's just record it. Let's just put it down, write it down, and put it in a video and kind of give it a description, give it some details. Over the years, I've hired different folks and said, hey, could you elaborate on this a little bit and put some text in there and kind of talk about what's on the video? But I will say the most challenging part of the standard operating procedures is that unless you bring them to the service, talk about them and use them, some of that just becomes, dusty. So there's a balance between, hey, let's document everything that we do and what are we doing that needs documentation. So and yet, there's times where, okay, let's say we bring on a particular client with a particular set of needs that we do have some documentation on how to do that. The problem is that we haven't used it in a month. And so, quite often it could get forgotten. So we have a nice plugin that we use in WordPress for library management. You can do searching and so forth. And so it's actually worked out pretty well for us. It's not the best, but we have everything linked into our Google Drive. So if we go with another technology to organize it later on, then obviously we can just move those documents over. So pretty much we just record it with Snagit. We talk about it and here's how you do it. And then we save it to the drive and we put it in a system that makes sense. And that's basically it. And then we've organized it to client onboarding, to web development, to, pay-per-click account startup, pay-per-click account management, website optimization. And so, and then we have it in a menu. So once you log into our support.localview.link, it basically gives you a homepage of our library and all of our training materials. that kind of thing. And then, obviously when you purchase a white labeled software like Vendasta, they have a lot of their own training materials. So we just link to that and we discuss that as part of the training process when we bring somebody on board.
Wow. So you've pretty much, Michael Gerber, I'm not sure if you're familiar with his book or not, but the E-Myth Revisited. He wrote that book, and it's a fascinating book for any business owner to read, especially small business owners, because that's what it's targeted to. He tells the story of a baker who was running their bakery and was just working from 5 a.m. to 11 at night because they didn't have standard operating procedures in their business. And they were like, man, I was having more life enjoyment when I was just a baker rather than owning a bakery. But he talked about the key to being successful in doing that was doing what you've done, creating, recording your creating what you're doing, looking at the overall structure of your organization and creating key positions and mapping those out in regards to like who's going to be the assistant baker and what are they going to do, or in your case, who's going to be the web designer and what are they going to do, and so that you don't have to constantly train people over and over and over and over again, because it's a pain in the butt and it's time consuming and time costs money. So it's very neat that you've done this and created this in your business.
I did read the book, and one of the things that I think the small business owner like myself and others have struggled with is that, you started this business and, you started out working anywhere from like 12 to 14-hour days. And, you made sure the client knew they were at the center of the universe and, hop, skip, and jump. And you had a certain way of doing things and you made sure all the details were done. And so now, you hire somebody, well, they can't do it like I could do it, and like the baker, they can't bake like I do.
Yeah.
Only I can make the cake. Now, it's like, well, no, wait a minute. How are you making the cake? Well, I start with, the flour and the mixing and okay, so write it down, document it. Someone else can do it, believe it or not. And it's not like a mystery. And so, that's pretty much, what I don't want to do is run, metaphorically speaking, an octopus, organization where the whole thing has to depend upon me. And I've got all these tentacles in every, if we're going to grow to another level, people have to take responsibility and ownership over those areas of the business. There's just no way. And so the standard operating procedures is helping us get there because, if I can show somebody else how to do it, they can learn it and own it, then now I've grown,
Absolutely.
I'm able to communicate to the team that level of customer experience that I have strived to get and the philosophy that we have in working with clients as business consultants rather than salespeople. Then now we can have that same, environment growing and expanding.
Yeah. That's, and when you're developing those processes, like you said, and maybe they can even make them better if you empower them to do so.
Oh, of course. Yeah, no. And not only that, but when I first started off with, like the Google profiles, what it's now called, Google My Business, it's evolved.
Oh, gosh, yeah. They've changed the name 10 times.
Yeah, and so it was funny because I haven't done one in forever. We just recently, did one for a real estate company, and my teammates said, "Wow, do you know how to do the whatever?" It's like that wasn't even a part of it when I first was doing them, and so processes not only can be perfected and made better, but they're also changing so that quite often if I jump in, I have to go back to the video, get the groundworks and get it going again.
Well, that's amazing. So your business is pretty much, your agency is kind of run. I'm not going to make an assumption it's running on autopilot, but it's running in such a way that your people are really taking ownership of certain things where, you don't have to be involved in every detail anymore.
Yeah, well, that's true, and to a certain extent. And the reason why, I'd like to say, we have 15 team members, we have 7, and what happens is we'll get an influx of work, and then this feast or famine. And so all of a sudden we'll get 7 websites for a month and, large projects. Well, guess what? I'm back into web development. I'm trying to get out of it. I'm trying to focus on marketing and business development and, collaborative efforts with different vendors and such. But, for the most part, every so often I'll have to roll up my sleeves and work on a website because we function in a team environment. We do have segmentation and roles to a certain extent. Because we're small, everybody just jumps in. And it's really nice because, like I said, someone can pull up the standard operating procedures and start to function in a time of busyness in a way that they wouldn't normally and help the team out. So awesome. it's a nice environment. It's not like, okay, we got tons of websites, but no new pay-per-click accounts. So, Adam, who's on our team, he's the primary web guy. He's like, he's going crazy. Everybody else is out fishing, so it's like, no, we can jump in and augment the process and make sure that our client gets what they expect from a well-run company.
How do you create community amongst your team members when everybody is working from somewhere else?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Every so often, we'll have what's called a lunch party. So we'll, instead of our 15 to 20 minute, meeting that we have every day, we will have a party and the company will buy everybody lunch. And we'll play, virtual games, trivia games, or the last one we did was show and tell. Hey, show us something that you like to do and tell us about it. And so we'll do all kinds of team building stuff, in these meetings, and they're fun. And then we have lunch. We're sitting here eating lunch. For Christmas, we had an ugly sweater contest, and we all voted was the ugliest, and so we'll do stuff like that as best as possible. And then obviously we have our one meeting per day, but you can reach out through Google Workspace under the option called Spaces and chat just reach out to anybody and say, hey, and next thing you know, you're sitting in someone else's office and you're going through some details about a particular project or client. And but I think the one of the key things that I like to do is I like for folks to be better as a result of knowing me. In other words, in some way. So I do heavy encouragement to develop their careers. And I realize some of these folks, we're not going to be able to afford them because they get so good and that they do so well. And people have moved on because they've gotten a better offer that we could afford as a little agency. But, I encourage training. I encourage opportunity to grow themselves. I do, project management and time management training for them. I'm a real big person. I'm real big on, time management, putting together, the getting things done module and philosophy, into what we're doing. And, so I try to help folks just, be better people. I don't want to, make myself as some kind of amazing, benevolent guy, but the environment is non-punitive. We don't, spank anybody for making mistakes. We all own it. We're worked through it. There's no, micromanagement, that kind of thing. But if someone needs extra help, we'll spend time with them and training them and helping them until they feel confident enough to take on a particular, project. So I like to have the environment here fun and flexible. Hey, if we hire someone on as a 1099 teammate, we can't mandate their time. So you don't have to go to the meetings, right? You don't have to go to the meeting. But guess what? Over time, if you're out and it's not important to you, then probably you're not a fit here. So we have an environment that is exciting to work for, that is positive in your self-development as a teammate, and is non-punitive. When we make mistakes, we just work through it. We apologize to the client, because everybody makes mistakes,
It's how you handle them.
Yeah. We do the best we can. And so I think if you were to talk to, and by the way, before this meeting, I reached out to the team and said, hey, I've got this interview, and what thoughts, what do you see positive and what do you see challenging in working remotely? And they all came up with cool lists, which was actually, we transitioned some of our process as a result. Two people mentioned, hey, it would be great to have like a status report, a brief status report at the end of the week on what's going on and what everybody's working on and what needs to be done for Monday. And so my manager,
that's neat.
He's integrated into Basecamp. Basecamp's a little inflexible when it comes to, they're changing. They're actually modifying their software now. But when you want to look at like a status report for multiple projects and multiple teammates, it's a little challenging. Like you can't integrate the getting things done philosophy.
Methodology. Yeah.
If they would add tags, like I've suggested it twice now to Basecamp. Hey, can we have tags like today, tomorrow, this week, next month? And then I could sort all my tasks among, 50 different projects by today, next week. You can't do it. But hopefully they're changing that. So what we've done to augment that is we've created a unique user, right? And now you can sort everything by user. So now we have, this week, next week, project users. So you can sort all your tasks over a myriad of projects with a particular user. So in order to address this status report, now we have this new user who's added to all the tasks within projects. And at the end of the week, any of those among all of the projects that are due at the end of the week, we sort by this particular user, and we've created a weekly status report within Basecamp so we can all look at it and see what everybody's doing and see this collaborative effort, So anyhow, they came up with a bunch of suggestions. Obviously, what they don't like is, not being able to walk into an office if someone's busy or on the phone and you reach out to them and they're unavailable or they're, off because all of our time is flexible, so, not being available or those kind of things. There was a whole list of pros and cons, mostly pros, which they like the flexibility.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah. So I don't know if that answers the question, but
no, absolutely. That was very insightful in regards to, it's been very fascinating, by the way, and we've blown through quite a bit of time already. It's just been awesome just listening, and I think there's a lot of value and a lot of tips you've shared for people, other agency owners to garner from and learn from and consider in implementing into their own business. So that being said, how can our listeners connect with you online?
Well, obviously our website, localview.link, my email, david@localview.link, our phone number, you can call anytime you like, 425-298-3303. But, I'd be glad. I love to help people, I tell people I didn't start this company to make money. I didn't. Yeah. By the way, I'm 59 years old. This is my fifth career. So 8 years ago, I started my fifth career, and I didn't leave the other careers because they were going poorly. I left them because I was at the top of the place and decided to take on a new challenge. And so, but I started this company to make a living, not to make a buck. And making a living means when I lay down and go to bed at night, I have done my best for the clients, and I have been honest with them, and I've provided real solutions, not just the highest margin for the cheapest product. And so that goes along with anybody else in the industry who might need a helping hand or might need some advice. Obviously within reason, if I'm working to make you successful and I'm not keeping my responsibilities in check, then, but I'm always available for a chat and, hey, how did you work this out? And I remember back, recurring billing was a challenge. And, so many small business owners were like, well, either I buy this, membership software for my website, do all my billing on my website. And, and I was like, hey, did you know QuickBooks Online has a recurring billing option? You just have to go through this process, and they have this PDF that you have to sign and have your client sign, and it works. And they were like, oh, and I have to tell you, when you're billing, 85 different recurring, invoices a month, doing that manually every month, you need a full-time. It's just
you need
crazy.
A full-time employee to do that.
Yeah. So
thank goodness for automation.
And, we've spent time with these solutions. We've spent time thinking through a lot of the processes. We're growing, we're learning. Hey, maybe someone who reaches out to us, I might ask them a few questions and learn from them. So feel free.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much for being on the show and sharing your stories and your tips and advice today. It's been really appreciated.
You got it. I appreciate it as well. And it's been great. I think for us being able to reach out to the team and say, hey, I'm doing this interview, what works for you, and what doesn't work for you. And it's also, it's been a great, it's been a pleasure. It really has. I love thinking through stuff. Yeah. So Matt, thanks again for having me, and all the best. And if you need me again, just reach out.
Oh, for sure. Thanks very much.
All right. Take care. Bye.